Well, hello everyone, hope you're all having a great day. Now in today's video I thought I'd take you on a bit of a tour of my home garden. Now I'm starting in the front garden, the driveway garden, which is a new creation this year. It's a bit difficult to get right at the moment because we're planning on doing things in the future where we're replacing our driveway. But what I've done this year is I've placed lots of fruit bushes in pots. And they're going great. They really are growing well. I've not had to look after them that much, just doing a little bit of weeding, a bit of watering, but because I've added a layer of mulch around the pots, they seem to be looking after themselves and not needing a huge amount of water, which is great. Real success, and we're even starting to see some fruits forming now. So very happy with the front garden. And I think we can still add more plants to this. A lot of these plants I bought at the back end of last year when they were on sale in shops for like 10p or 40p, and I've just grown them on, and they've created some really decent plants. So very happy with things here, and it's something that we're going to continue onward and keep developing. We do need to get some larger pots because some of them are a bit small. Now let's go out the back garden where the real magic is happening. So as we come around into the back garden, the first thing of course the chickens, and particularly Martha, which is the chicken that we've inherited this year and added to the flock. She's doing really well, it has to be said. She seems to be surviving nicely and integrated with all the other chickens in the bed quite nicely, so that's great. Very happy. We're getting plenty of eggs as well. The extension with a chicken run has made all the difference, and we may well extend it in the future again. Other things going on, obviously the herbs in the front here, they're doing really well. We're getting quite a few sage and mint and other things like that. And we've even got peonies, which aren't a herb, but they're about to flower, mixed in with various other things. Just a bit of a mix-up we have going on here, including our herbs that are in sinks as well, which all seem to be doing very well. But above this, we have a very old elder tree too. The elder tree is in flower, which is great because that means we're soon going to be getting lots of the elderflowers to make elderflower cordial. That'll be coming up a bit later on this month. But yeah, things are moving on here. We do also have an area just in front of a greenhouse that's a bit overgrown at the moment, but we're clearing that out throughout the summer. We're going to get rid of everything that we have there and turn it into like a nursery area for our young plants. Now, talking of a greenhouse, let's go see what's going on in there. Right, I'm just going to put this down here for the time being. I'll get that into the compost bin later. This is the area I'm talking about that I want to turn into more of like a nursery area. Put a cold frame down the back, get rid of these trees first of course, maybe even this elder tree, I'm not sure yet. I like the elder tree, but I'm not sure. Anyway, in the greenhouse, it's a bit warmer now, I'm sure, but as you can see, we've got a row of strawberries all hanging up in baskets, which seem to be doing well. We're having a few strawberries, not a huge amount, but a few that seem to be doing pretty well. They are all first year strawberries, so they're not exactly the best strawberries that we are expected. Added to that, down on the ground below the strawberry plants, we've got a couple of tomato plants which are doing well, not as well as the ones down on the allotment inside the greenhouse, but they're doing okay, and we're hoping they're going to provide us with tomatoes of course, and I've no doubt that they will. I've used string for them to climb up, so that's my personal method. Along the front here is where I have my root trainer things for growing all my plants. I like the root trainers, I'm a big fan of them, but they are starting to deteriorate, and I'm thinking about redoing this entire greenhouse in order to make it a bit more user friendly for myself, because it is a bit of a challenge sometimes trying to fit everything in here. I'm a terrible hoarder, and as I said, I want some cold frames outside for when I start hardening things off, so I can have it nearby but enough that I can work on with it. Now in front of that, the rhubarb, obviously we're getting loads of rhubarb at the moment, all doing great, and that is fantastic. And you might have seen I've already got a few other pots of plants down the bottom here in trays. These may end up out the front, they may, I'm not sure yet. They're a collection that I'm just undecided what we're going to do. We've got potted apple tree, we've got a grapevine, we've got a peach tree, and so on, as well as a few extra tomato plants I haven't found homes for just yet. Now, talking of tomato plants, the bed that I built this year, I've planted up with tomato plants. This bed has no wooden sides on it. It was a bit of an experiment. I don't like it, I'll be honest with you. I'm finding it very difficult to try and make it or keep it tidy. I prefer wooden sides. So I think over the winter, as another project, I'm going to be building wooden sides. Let's have a look at the rest of the veg patch. Well, let's start with the straw bale garden in the main vegetable garden area. You know, this straw bale garden is completely new, but does seem to be working out quite nicely. I've added some chilies and some pepper plants to it, which seem to be doing okay. The tomato plants and the cauliflower plants, or whatever, the brassicas, they all seem to be doing okay as well. But the carrots haven't germinated yet, which I guess is kind of expected to be a bit slow. But the peas are the real problem. I'm having a lot of problem with peas. They haven't germinated in here, they haven't germinated in the greenhouse, they haven't really germinated in the beds either, and the same on the allotment. I'm having a real trouble with peas. I think I'm going to have to go out this week and buy some fresh packs of peas. Now, these summer raspberries are doing really well. They've grown quite nicely. We're starting to get flowers on them, so I don't think it's going to be long until we start getting raspberries from these. On the other side, we have our autumn ones, which are also doing pretty good. Nice, clean looking growth on them, and potentially some start of flowers, but not too sure if that's definitely going to be the case just yet. As we work on further into the veg patch, so this bed here, we've got garlic and shallots, which are doing okay, not brilliant but okay. I've thrown in some leeks. I did have some other onions, but Roxy dug them up, wasn't happy. I did sow some carrot seeds as well as radish seeds and parsnip seeds. They haven't germinated. Maybe the radish seeds did a little, but nothing like what I would expect. I think it is due to the soil I have here being too hard for it at the moment. Until I get quite a lot of compost built into it, it's going to take a while to really get built for those sort of things, and the soil becomes nice and loose. So, this bed here is our squash bed this year, so I've just this weekend potted in some cucumber plants. We've got some courgette plants, and we're going to be adding pumpkin plants when they are big enough, but they are doing okay. They seem to be establishing nicely and growing on. Just down here I've got a few more pots of potatoes and tomatoes, and then over the two beds over here, brassica beds, they're doing really nice. Got to say, I'm really happy with the brassicas. We've got room for a few more, which we will pot in there at some point. And then we've got the peas. Now, as you can see, I've said earlier that germination has been really poor for peas. The peas are there, they're doing okay, but there's not as many as I would expect. We've put another couple of rows of peas in. Again, we'll see what happens. And then towards the back, again this weekend, I've planted out some runner beans. So we're hoping that they are going to grow quite nicely as well. I'm not a fan of runner beans, they're more for my wife, but we've got to get the canes down from the allotment to build the structures for them, which I meant to do today and I completely forgot. Now I want to show you the potato compost experiment before I take you up to the next part. So when it comes to the potato experiment, obviously it's all going to depend on the yield at the end of the day, on what does best, but based on the foliage that I'm seeing at the moment, it certainly looks like the Delphi, the most expensive compost, is coming out on top. Closely followed by the cheapest compost that I bought, which is the Super Grow from the range. Next followed by my own homemade compost, which I was hoping would be better, but hey ho, it's still pretty good. It all depends on what the end result is, of course. Next we have the New Horizon compost, which is the second most expensive to buy, followed by the Wilco Koya compost, second to last. And then finally the straw is coming out the worst, which I'm not surprised about. Like I say, it all depends on the yield at the end of the day as to what we get. Veggie pot garden is next. I want to really take you there. So the veggie pot garden, now I really do enjoy growing in the veggie pods, as I've said time and time again. The small veggie pod, which is our herb one, I've just cut down all the coriander. I'm hoping it's going to regrow. We don't know, it might not, but we're giving it a try. But I'm sowing other basil and what have you. We've got some parsley in there as well. So It's looking a bit sparse at the moment, but if you'd seen it a few days ago, it looked pretty full with the coriander. I do find that the herbs particularly grow really well in there, and almost too well. Now the medium veggie pod, this one here, has been a real problem. It's meant to be our salad leaves, which normally I don't have a problem with, but for some reason I'm having trouble with salad leaves germinating. So I'm sowing again. We do have the spinach in there, which is showing signs. I mean, we've been harvesting quite a bit of spinach lately, but it's starting to show signs of bolting. So it's a case that I think eventually this is going to have to all come out, and we'll sow some more spinach. And then we've got, of course, the large veggie pod, which is doing really well. We have got so much growing in there: beetroot, carrots, radishes, a lot of roots, celery and beans, all of which are doing really well. I've got to admit, I think I'm going to keep this one for roots in the future, such as beetroot, radishes, carrots, just because it seems to be the best place for them to grow in my garden. And again, the spinach is starting to bolt in there, but I'm not too worried because we've got some outdoor spinach which is doing okay, isn't quite showing signs of bolting, but it is coming to that time of year when you expect spinach to bolt. Now I do have the balcony garden as well, which is still only just really started getting going. We've got hanging baskets with tomatoes, in which I've used my woolen liners that I got from a company called Haughty Wool. And on the rear we've got a mat with pockets that we're growing in to see what does well in there, and we're going to be putting chilies and peppers and things like that. That's going to be coming up in the future. And along the front, of course, we've got our herbs and what have you, all of which seem to be doing very well, but they do need a lot of water, and it does get very dry in this particular area. We haven't had rain for a while. In fact, many of our water butts are starting to run low, so I'm in some ways wanting a little bit of rain one night just to help top everything up. Alright, well, thank you so much for joining me on this little tour of my home vegetable plot. I'm expecting the next time we do it, things to start really taking shape. Things I'm expecting to grow bigger and better. Still very much at the seedling stage, except for the brassicas. But hopefully your allotments, your home gardens are looking as great as well. We have got an allotment tour coming up soon as well, so keep your eyes out for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you all again in the next one. Until then, please take care.